Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, Cooking for the Family. I'm Dyvonne and today I'm going to share with you how I like to make my ham and cheese puff pastry. It is very easy to make. It comes together pretty quickly actually. And once you get the hang of it, I'm going to share with you a couple of little tips. I love using puff pastries, and there's a couple of other things that I've done on my channel that I've used puff pastries, and I will put those in the link in the description box below. And one of those things was my empanadas. And then the other one that I did for the fall was I made pumpkin butter and I filled the puff pastry with some pumpkin butter, and it was a wonderful fall treat. So I have here some ham, and this is some ham that we had ham for Easter. I had some left over, so I decided to go ahead and make my cheese and ham puff pastries. So what I'm doing is I'm just slicing them at an angle. My slice that I did for my ham is kind of thick, and so I don't want it too thick, and so I just like to keep it in kind of like strips. And I'm doing 12 strips because I'm going to be making 12 ham and cheese puff pastry. Now I'm using ham, and I did trim the fat off the ham, and then what I like to do is I'm going to put it in my bowl and I'm going to microwave my ham because my ham came cold straight out of the refrigerator. So I'm just going to knock the chill off and just microwave it for about 15 to 20 seconds, 30 seconds, kind of depending on your microwave. So I'm going to put my ham away and I'm going to start off with the puff pastry. Now something else is that this is the puff pastry that I like to use. Anytime that I see this on sale, I always like to grab it. I've used a couple different ones that are on the market. I like this one because it just seems to work well with the variety of things that I like to make with it. And so it comes in a sheet, and when you're going to get 2 sheets. When you open up the sheet, you're going to have 3 panels in there of the puff pastry. And so what I do is you can use like a mat that I'm using or a nice clean countertop. I put a little flour down and I like to roll out the puff pastry, so that way I need to increase it a little bit. I don't want to use a lot of pressure, so I don't use a lot of pressure when I'm rolling it out, just enough to kind of stretch it. And then we're going to cut it into 3 strips. And in those 3 strips is how we're going to fill it. Now I'm using ham, but you can use just cheese, like a couple different kinds of cheeses, because this makes a great appetizer or a nice snack. The ham and cheese works well whether it's a snack or also for breakfast. So we'll save some and we'll have like everyone can just grab one and take it for breakfast. So that works out well. Now what I'm doing in the center of the puff pastry, I'm putting a little Dijon mustard, about 1/4 of a teaspoon. Now if you don't like Dijon mustard, you can leave it out, but I really like to use the Dijon mustard. I've made them with the Dijon mustard, I've made them without. They taste better to me with the Dijon mustard. So if you want to do some with and some without, just to see how your family likes it, but it tastes really good with the cheese and with the ham. Now something you don't want to put it all the way to the edges. You want to kind of keep it concentrated more so in the middle. And then I take my ham and my piece of cheese and I wrap the cheese with the ham, and then around the edges I have an egg wash, which is 1 large egg and a tablespoon of water that I went on and scrambled together. And then what I do is I take that and I just moisten the edges of the puff pastry, and then I fold it over. And be sure, you want to make sure that your piece of ham and your cheese is more so in the lower third of the puff pastry, so that way you can just roll it over, and then I pinch it down with my fingers. Now you want to also use your fork to make sure that the edges are sealed, so that way when everything bakes up, it doesn't split or come out the sides. And so just use some pressure and press down really firmly, just like I'm doing there. And then also what I like to do is I sometimes take my fork and I'll dip my fork into the egg wash. And you see how we made like a little pillow pocket? That's what you want to do. And so I'm going to repeat that. Now, in addition to using ham, you can pretty much use any kind of leftover meat you have. Like if you have some turkey or even just lunch meat turkey or lunch meat ham. You can also use, if you have some leftover roast, you can also use a little piece of the leftover roast. You could take that, wrap it in cheese, and then also you can use the mustard, the Dijon mustard if you like, or you can leave it out, and you can make these as well. So you can use the ham, you can use just cheese, you can use turkey, you can use if you have leftover steak, ground beef, taco meat. I have used this puff pastry many different ways, and so it's really nice a way to be able to use the leftovers for sure. And so I'll go ahead and I do the same step just like that. Now also with puff pastry, if you've never worked with it before, if you're not so familiar with it, as I'm working with it, what I do is I just do one sheet at a time, and the other part I take and I put in the refrigerator to stay chilled, because it can become too soft, and then when it's too soft, it's kind of difficult to work with. So you just want to work with one panel at a time, and then put the other one in the refrigerator, and when you're ready, go ahead and take it out. Also, where I find this is in the freezer section. So it's going to be in the freezer section. If you're going to be looking for this one or any other puff pastry, most of the time it's going to be in the freezer section. Then I let it unthaw. And you see how I go ahead and I go around the edges again with that egg wash, just like that. Then I fold it over, just like that. Press it down with my fingers. I use my fork to go on and crimp the edges to keep the filling in, and just crimp and press, just like that. Make sure you press really good so that way your filling doesn't come out. And for my squares, after I rolled out the puff pastry, for my squares, when I cut them in the 3 sections, it was basically about 4 inches around each side. So roughly about 4 inches, but enough that I would be able to fold over and also have my filling. So what I do next is that I take the same egg wash that I was using, and I use my brush, and I'm going to brush all over the pastry. I'm going to brush along the edges and across the top. This helps to continue to seal the edges. In addition to that, it's also going to make your pastry nice and a beautiful golden color when it bakes up. It's not going to take long to bake. So right now my oven is preheating on 425 degrees, and my pastries are going to bake from anywhere from about 12 minutes to about 15-16 minutes. You want to check them to see how they're doing at around 9 minutes or so. And if it seems like it's baking up really fast and they're just kind of getting dark too fast, because you want to make sure that the cheese melts and everything is nice, in there, nice and warm and hot. So if need be, if you need to lower your temperature to about 400 degrees, you can do that and continue to bake. But I'm going to bake these at 425. That's what I usually bake them at. And it takes anywhere from 12 minutes up to about 16 minutes. But remember to check them at about 9 minutes just to kind of see how they're doing. And be sure to put some slits in the top like I did, so that way the steam can escape when it bakes up. So they're in the oven. We're going to let them bake up till they're a nice, beautiful golden brown. And you want to use parchment paper like I did, or either a silicone mat. If you don't have parchment paper or silicone mat, spray your cooking sheet lightly with some cooking spray, and just be sure that you're baking them on the top rack. So our puff pastries, they look so good. They are out of the oven, y'all. They are still hot, so I'm going to let them cool for a few minutes, and then we're going to go ahead, take a bite, and see how we did. So our pastries have cooled. Look how they are looking. Let's check the undercarriage. They have baked up a beautiful golden brown, just right, little crispy bottom, just like we like it, crispy around the edges. Are you ready for your bite? Go ahead and take your bite. Now I'm going to take my bite and see how we did. Y'all, these came out so good. They never cease to amaze me. It is so simple, just a few ingredients, and you can create a great appetizer. And trust me, if you put some roast in there, or either you put your leftover taco meat, you put a salad on the side, you got dinner again with your leftovers. And for more ways to use leftover ham, check out this video. Well, thank you for spending time with me in my kitchen. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's free. If you like this video, don't forget to show it some love. Give it a thumbs up. Click share. Share with a friend or family. And remember, it's always good when Dyvonne is cooking for the family. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.